Hey guys, I decided that I had enough episodes out there that maybe you guys would want to know a little bit more about me. So if you are here looking for the crafts, you might want to skip this episode. If you just want to know, hey, who are you, Lindsay? Then stick around. So like I just said, I am Lindsay and I've been doing crafts my whole life. My grandmother was huge into crafting, huge into knitting. She made a ton of these felt advent calendars that she gave to all the family. She knitted stockings for all the family, which I've talked about before. She made these marionettes. She knit sweaters for sailors. It was some kind of charity that she'd gotten hooked up in. She did blankets for Project Linus, which is where you knit or make. You don't have to knit. You can crochet or quilt. But basically, it's blankets for children that are in hospitals. She knit hats for preemies. This woman crafted for lots of different, she did lots of different crafts. It was felt, like where you sew the felt together, you make a little puffy something. She did that kind of stuff. Again, she made marionettes that she called critters. We all had one at one point, we all being all the grandkids. She made like big ones, and then she made like little mini ones. She crafted all the things, and I very much got my love of crafting from her. I've been crafting all the things since I was young. Oh my gosh, I've made so many different things, and I would just use whatever's around. So I remember I was like, say like 8 or 9, and I took 3 pairs of socks that were kind of seen better days. No, one pair had seen better days. The other 2 pairs, I just didn't like the colors. I never wore them. And I turned them into a set of dolls. So I think I filled the bottom with a little bit of rice or beans to kind of give it a good base, and polyfill. And I styled their hair all different ways. You tie a knot. It was, they had clothes, they had accessories. And it wasn't even that I then played with them. I just enjoyed making stuff. My grandma was very much the same way. She didn't keep anything. She just made it because she liked the process of making. And I'm very much in the same way. I like the process of making. I don't do a lot of gift knitting, but I do end up giving away a lot of my stuff. I don't like the idea of knitting. I don't know. I'm weird. I like the idea that I'm making this because it's just fun. And then afterwards, I'll be like, oh, I knit a sweater. I knit the Weekender. And it was popular. Everybody was doing it. It's an Andrew Mowry design if you haven't looked it up or hadn't heard of it. And I knit it, and then I put it on, and I thought, you know what? I kind of completely forgot that I hate the boxy shape. Boxy shape and me, we're not friends. So I gave it away, and I had no problems with that because I enjoyed knitting it. If I was knitting it to give it away, it would not have been as much fun. But, throwing it on one time, taking a picture, and then being like, this is not for me, and giving it away, had no problems with that. So I do end up giving away a lot of my stuff. But anyway, so I do like crafting. I've been dabbling in all different kinds of crafts my whole life. My current craft repertoire is knitting and dyeing yarn. I dabble in crochet and sewing, embroidery, cross stitch. I keep thinking I want to try macrame. But I'll tell you what, and I'm weaving. I don't know, did I mention that? I don't know. Weaving on the Zoom loom, super easy. Weaving on a rigid heddle, very easy for me to pick up. And I mean like basic, like I'm not doing pickup sticks and the double heddles yet or anything. But just very, just to do a basic scarf on the rigid heddle. I love doing that. It's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing to me. Well, then I got a table loom. There's a bit of a curve on that. So I have signed up for a class to better learn how to weave on the table loom and up my weaving game. So I keep wanting to try macrame, but it's like, oh man, I really want to learn weaving and like kind of master it a little bit better before I pick up something else, because it's sometimes it's frustrating I find it sometimes frustrating to learn a new skill, because like I go to knitting and I can kind of figure it out. You know, I've got knitting down. There's a couple things I've never tried, like steeking. Ooh, a little scared to steek. And for those that don't know, that's where you knit up like say a sweater, and then you cut and you turn it into a cardigan. And that just blows my mind. I'm not ready for that yet. But beyond like some of the more what I consider advanced techniques, like I've got it. I can modify a pattern without much, you know, hesitation or scariness. But then, you know, you go to weaving and you just screw it up all the time because you're new and you're learning. And I can only handle so much of that in my life. So I'm not ready to take on like macrame or spinning or anything new just yet until I feel like I'm not screwing up in multiple areas. Anyway, and that might have to do something with my personality. I am an Aries through and through. I'm an Aries with an Enneagram 8 is my number. So I'm just very much, I like to be in control. I like to be in charge. I very much like it to be my way or the highway, all the way around. Just very much, I like to be in control. And when I'm weaving, I don't feel that. And I'm not about to add macrame in my life when you get that loss of control feeling. It's very difficult. So anyway, yeah, that's me. I will say I have learned over the years that the world doesn't actually revolve around me, and I have developed my listening skills and my patience skills, and I've kind of had to because my mom is an Aries, and I got to tell you, growing up, like I thought, well, that's okay, because I'm a March Aries and she's an April Aries, so the month of March is still mine. That is my birth month. I will celebrate all month. You can have April. Who wants April anyway? March is where it's at. And then I married an Aries. So Steven, my husband, his birthday is 2 days after mine. Still in April though. I thought, okay, that's okay. You know, we've got 3 birthdays within a week of each other, but those 2 are in April. March is where it's at. This is my birth month. Y'all step off. And then I had a kid. And my youngest birthday is in March, about a week before mine. So we now have 4 birthdays within 2 weeks of each other, 4 Aries, very strong personalities. And thankfully, we've all learned, we've had to develop the skills. That we were not born with these skills, but we have learned to be patient and to listen to each other. The big word around here is we collaborate. Because if you're an Aries, you don't compromise. You don't. Like, you'll know if you're an Aries if like the word compromise sends a shiver down your spine. We don't compromise. We do collaborate though. And so that's what we do around here. We do a lot of collaborating where we all listen to each other and we find a solution where everyone feels like they got their own way. Yeah. So like I said, I am married. I have 2 goblins. I call them that not because they're horrible, wretched little human beings. I call them that because since they were 2, 3-ish, Labyrinth has been one of the most loved movies in our home. I loved Labyrinth growing up when I was very young, and I very much introduced it to my children, maybe a little too soon. I didn't think about how the goblins were just a little bit scary. At the very beginning of the movie, they become very funny. You know, they're not scary at the end when they're all dancing around and whatnot. But we got through those first few scenes where it's a little bit, suspenseful. And it didn't take very long for the kids to absolutely love the movie. They know the songs by heart. I don't know if they do anymore, but certainly when they were younger, they could quote the dialogue. I mean, they knew that movie through and through. And that ended up being the inspiration for my first round of dyeing when I started Linden Wool, was Labyrinth-inspired colorways because, I got these goblins around here and we're watching Labyrinth all the time. It's just kind of what was in my head. So we're big Labyrinth fans. So yeah, it's my husband, me, my 2 kids. We do not have any fur babies. We have some health issues like some asthma and some allergies. So we are a pet-free home, not because we don't like them. I can't tell you how many times my kids have asked, please, can we get a dog? Please, can we get a cat? And I've got to be the mean one that says no, because, it health-wise, like, sorry. It sucks to be a mom sometimes. Like sometimes everything in you wants to say yes and you just can't because, yeah, instant gratification, this is great. But, down the road when we're going to the doctor all the time or you have to up your meds, like, yeah, that kind of sucks. But it is what it is, right? I will say that my husband is an engineer and he is very much a hands-on DIY guy as well. He is a controls engineer. I don't know if I fully know what that even means. I just know that he can fix anything. He grew up the son of a contractor. So he does all the stuff around the house. He redid our plumbing. He's done the electrical. This past summer, I don't know if I showed it on Instagram or not, but we had a major problem with one of our walls. And so we tore off the whole wall and built it back up. And he did that. So he's Mr. Fix It around here. If there's a car issue, if there's a house issue, if there's a computer issue, I call #myhotcontractor. I'm not sure where that got started, but that's what I call him, especially when I'm referring to him on social media, is #myhotcontractor. We have a good time with it. Honestly, we joke around a lot. If there's ever a time when, we don't originally know, like, hey, I've got an idea for the house, and the other one's like, oh, that's not really what I wanted. Me being the Aries, I'm like, oh, well, I'm the homeowner, you're the contractor. I think what I say goes. And we're just joking around. We joke around a lot. We have a great time together. But yes, he's my hot contractor. He is all about DIY. He has built our beds. I said, hey, I kind of want a new bed for the kids. They're getting too big for their toddler bed. So he just built a frame. So here you go. Knocked it out in like, I don't know, 20 minutes it felt like. It was quick. Yeah, he's a good guy. So we live in Indiana. And we've been in our current home for the last, 3 years. I will say it's been really fun living in this house. When we bought it, it had only had one owner and it was originally built in 1975. So when we got it, it had shag carpeting, it had foil wallpaper, it had cork walls. I tell you what, it wasn't my style, and that's okay. I was so impressed though with the matriarch of the family that lived there in this house before us because, it seems like every 2 to 3 years or maybe every 5 years or 10 years, people want to update their homes. But this woman lived her best life. She picked everything out in 1975 and 40 years later, she still loved it. She loved it enough to not replace a thing. There was plaid carpeting, like a off-white, brown, burnt orange, olive green kind of 1970s plaid carpeting in the kitchen. It was amazing. So, hey, more power to her. Her life was extra, and I'm proud of her. I can only hope to one day, decide, hey, I am so satisfied with my choices. I don't ever feel like the need to change my mind again. I don't know if that's really my personality, but that's pretty extra. I'm impressed. I am so impressed. So yeah, we have over the last couple of years been kind of we did some major renovations before we moved in. We are not done renovating this house, but when you do it yourself, it is not like HGTV. Projects do not get done in a week or a month. It takes a little bit longer. So, we're doing it in our spare time and weekends, but it is something that we like to do together. And it is helpful when, we're a whole family of DIY. We got this. If I don't know how to do it, I'll just YouTube that. So we have a good time. And then last but not least, what do? I would love to say I knit for a living or I craft for a living, but that's just not the case. during the day or during the week. So I am a director of operations for a small company in Ohio that helps individuals with disabilities find permanent employment. It's kind of a mouthful. Not everybody realizes that there's agencies out there that do that. So it's not something where I can say, oh, I work, in an accounting firm and everybody immediately knows what you're doing. I always have this need to have to explain not just where I work, but what I do and what our field does. But yeah, there's a whole field of people that do this, or companies that do this, that help individuals find jobs, and I've been doing it for 25 years, not always as a director of operations. I've done, other things within the company. It has made me very informed of the resources that are out there. And so I, every chance I get, if I meet someone that, especially someone that recently got a medical diagnosis that's going to affect them, permanently in the future. Hey, did you know that this organization is out there? Hey, do you know that this is out there? So it's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of people. Before I was a mom, I have my master's in statistics. So I used to moonlight as a statistics professor. Doesn't that sound sexy? Not at all. Not at all. Stats, right? I did though. I taught non-traditional students nights and weekends or online. And I think I scared a lot of people because that first day of class, I was always just pumped up with nerves. I love teaching. I'm like anybody else. I don't like talking in public. So that first day, I always compensated for being nervous by just being super excited. Like, hey guys, are you ready for the next 16 weeks? We are going to learn all about statistics and you are going to love it. I think I scared a lot of people. But I will say that statistics is a lot of fun, and I might be making this up, but I had like a 99% success rate by the end of that semester. And you got to understand, I knew going into this, nobody wanted to be there. Now I'm working with non-traditional students, so they wanted to get through this class. And I love non-traditional students because of that. Not if you're a traditional student, I don't have anything against you. Those non-traditional students, those nighttime students, those weekend students, they were there for a goal. They wanted to achieve a goal. They were motivated. They were great to work with. They all came into my class because it was required for some degree. Like nobody chose to come to my class, It's true. But 16 weeks later, I part of the final of getting out of my class was you had to write a paper about how statistics is a part of your life. And I'm so glad I did that because I heard things like, there was a retired police officer who wrote grants to get for funding for the unit. That he had retired from, or the police department that he had retired from. So he was, when he retired, he decided to take on the role of grant writer to find more funding. And he was all like, hey, part of grant writing, you usually there's a section usually where you have to put in different figures, different projections. And he said that was always the hardest part. And now it's very easy for him. It's super simple. He doesn't dread doing that section anymore. It's still not his favorite, but it does, he can do it in half the time. I had a bank manager, and I did not ask what bank she was from, but she said how, in her paper, she told me how every week her supervisor would send her Excel spreadsheets with different, figures and analytics in it, and she never knew what they were. So she would just delete them. And now, because she took my class, she actually read them and could respond effectively to those management reports. Isn't that scary? Oh my gosh. But seriously, it was that again and again and again, where my students started applying what they were learning to their life within that 16-week period. I'm just saying, I wish I had had me as an instructor for statistics because my stats instructor sucked. And that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to teach, because I wanted my students to have that passion. It's not math. You know what I mean? Statistics is not about the math. And that's what I told them, because everybody walked in like, I'm scared of math, you know, math sucks. And it's like, no, it really doesn't. Let me tell you why. And I convinced them. I had a very high success rate on convincing students how awesome stats was. So I did that for, I don't know, like 6 years, 8 years? Ooh. 6 or 8 years. I don't know. I did that on the side. You know, then I became a mom, and I love it. I really do. It's a lot of fun, but it is also time consuming. And so I needed my nights and weekends for my kiddos. And yeah, no more stats courses. I do still very much like to teach. Anytime I hear of, oh, hey, how'd you do that? If it's something I can whip together into a short how-to video and post it on my YouTube channel, I will do it. I'm not a bells and whistles kind of girl. I'm very direct and to the point. Hello, Aries. So there won't normally be a lot of fluff, but I love teaching. So if there's ever a, hey, how do you do that? I would love to put together a quick how-to and post it, you know, because I am a learner at heart. I am always asking why, you know, what's the process, or how did you come to that conclusion? Or why are you acting that way? Like, what's going on with you? You know, what is behind the curtain? I love the why. I love to spread the why. I like to spread the how. Love to teach. So yeah, I don't do it traditionally anymore. I still train a lot of my coworkers and whatnot at work. And certainly in the crafting world, if there's ever something like, how do you do that? Very willing to put up a quick how-to show people how to do something. But that's me. So hopefully you got a little something out of this. If you ever have questions, you can comment below on this video or shoot me a message on Instagram probably. Yeah, I reply to those very quickly. But yeah, hopefully I get to meet you guys more and more, and take care. Have a great day. Bye.